do at get, I want it to be for slash candidates, and then function, rec, res, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and now I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of, well, first I should probably make a view. So I'm going to make candidates-index.hvs, and then in here I'm going to say there are num candidates. So my goal is for it to say something like there are 4 candidates. That's what I'm getting for, or getting toward. So if I do res.render candidates index, I'm not telling it what num candidates is yet. And so it's just going to say there are candidates. I haven't given a value to num candidates yet. To do that, you put a second argument inside res.render. So right now it just has one argument. I'm going to put a second one in here. It's going to be an object. And in here, I'm going to say the name of that variable, num candidates, and then I'm going to give it a value. So when I do this, nothing's going to happen. That's exactly what I meant to happen. Now let's see, why didn't that work?
Your variable on the handlebars is num candidate.
Ah. Good catch. There you go. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I'm setting the variable here, and then it's looking for it somewhere in the view in there, and then it's swapping it out. It's just like ERBs in Ruby. Instead of doing, let's see, for that it would be like at num candidates. Here I'm putting it inside the second little object down here, and then it's inserting it in. So if I call this 40, and it says there are 40 candidates, and there we go. All right, so that's all very well, but I don't just want it to say 40 candidates all the time, so I'm going to make it a little bit dynamic. And let's see. Oh, one thing I want to clarify, this has to be an object. So this absolutely has to be an object. I can't just put like 32 in here. That'll probably throw an error. This has to be an object, like that. Matt? Nope, it's still going to start off with an object. You can put like, well, actually, what we're going to be working toward is something like this, where you can have an array inside it, but the outermost thing has to be an object. All right, so that's the next step. I'm going to start off, I'm going to do that, candidates, and I'm going to say name Steve, and then name Bob. Okay, so this is going to throw an error at me. Well, it's not going to throw an error, but it's not going to do anything because num candidates doesn't exist anymore. But what I can do is I can go in here and say candidates, and then what I'm going to put at the end of this, if I want to get 2, that length. I'm going to get, there are 2 candidates. There we go. If I want to loop through all of the candidates, then I can do it like this. Each candidate, oh man, each candidate's candidate, sort of like Ruby. And then I can say candidate.name each. Let's see if I got that right. Damn, what did I forget? Candidates as, that's what it is. There we go. And now I can loop through them like that. So you'll have a chance to practice with the syntax in a second. But this is a pattern you're going to see a lot, where for different helpers like each, there's also an if, there's an unless, we'll see all of those. They're going to start with a pound, and then the last one is going to start with a slash. And so that's how you say this is the beginning one, and this is the ending one. And they're trying to be sort of Ruby-ish using these pipe things here. Christine?
How come in this file we use double multipliers while in the main layout one it was triple?
You use triple for body. That's the only one I can think of where you're going to see triple. Everything else is going to be double. Yep. Everything else will be double. Okay, cool. So that's fine. But right now, these candidates only exist inside this one root right here. theoretically, I'm going to be getting this from a database where I want all of my roots to have access to the same candidates. So that's what I'm going to do next. We're not actually going to do the database yet. I'm going to sort of fake it. So I'm going to create a folder called db, and then I'm going to put a seeds.json inside it. And then inside here, I'm going to put some JSON. So we'll say name, Steve, year 2024. That'll be the year he's running for president. Name, Barry, year 2008. Name, W, year 2000. Okay. Yes, good catch, thank you. Yep, that has to be lowercase. Okay, so here's a JSON file. I just gotta make sure it validates, just so I don't get any errors. So I'm gonna go to that JSON lint site, which I think most of you have seen by now. Paste it in here, hopefully it shows up green, and it does, valid JSON. Okay, cool. So that's it. I'm done with my seeds.json file. Now I'm gonna sort of fake having a database. Down the road, I'm gonna create this connection.js file. Down the road, we're gonna be using this to connect to Mongo. It's sort of like how, if you took the Sinatra class, there was like a sort of active record base connect thing in there as well. Rails, it's hidden underneath the surface, so you don't have to worry about it. But it's inside here that we're going to be telling it how to connect to the database. But again, that's later on. And here, I'm going to say seed data equals require. And then if I want to load a file, so I'm not loading a module now, I'm loading a file. So what do I need to do differently inside this require? /. Yep. I'm going to do /seeds. I don't have to do seeds.json. I'm just going to do seeds, and it'll work perfectly fine. Express automatically figures out, it automatically looks for JSON and JS files. And then I'm going to do module.exports. This is what I want to come out of this file. Candidates seed data. And now I'm done with that. Okay, so now I'm back in my index.js. I'm going to require that file I just made. I'm going to call it db, and I'm going to do require /db connection. So it's saying look for a folder called db, go inside that, and then look for a file called connection. And so now the last thing I should need to do is say candidates is db.candidates. I'm going to make sure this works. And there we go, Steve, Barry, and W. So it's getting it from, it's going from my seed file through the connection file, through the index.js file, out into my view. So there are lots of different sort of players going on here. In fact, just because there are so many, I'm going to draw that on the board. But while I'm doing that, why don't you guys go ahead and catch up and get to this point, get to this stop. Rather a lot of steps here, so I'm going to do 10 minutes for this one.